I'm gonna call to order the, Monday, December 16th meeting. It's 7 o'clock. If I can get roll call vote, please. Roll call.
Alderman Motley? Here. Alderman Hudson?
Here.
Alderman Wilkins? Alderman Borman?
Here.
Alderman Rogers?
Here.
Alderman Magley?
Sorry.
All right, with that, the quorum, if you stand for pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That brings us to, we got Bartlett and West here tonight, going to update us on the water and wastewater projects that we've got going on, correct?
Yes.
If you'd like to come on up and.
Hi everybody, Merry Christmas. I'm Gary Davis. I think I met most of you before. Just want to give an update. I've also got Matt Vandertide here with me. Matt and I work together on a lot of the projects that we work on for you guys and help you with. So,
That's right.
yes, so he's going to be here to bail me out if I can answer any questions you guys have. So, I think the first thing would probably be the update on the water plant. That's the project that's been in progress for a lot longer. We designed it about a year ago, and we've been working through DNR to try to get them satisfied to be able to go out for bid. So that should be, it's in DNR's court. It should be coming out to bid hopefully the first quarter, I would hope. There's been spending a lot of time with DNR on that one, so getting rates finalized and getting them all satisfied. So any questions on the water plant at this point?
Are we still roughly on schedule, even though we're waiting on the DNR, based on what we thought?
No, they've definitely taken longer than we were hoping they would. We completed the design on schedule, and then from that point, we've had some snags with some of the DNR parts of it, so.
Is that the one where we've got that hard
Nope.
deadline?
No.
No. That's several.
Okay, I couldn't remember which one.
We do at the water plant. We need that pretty quick, but
But there's no federal deadline or state deadline.
Well, we need it, because
Yeah.
ours is in need of one.
Okay, so wastewater. Wastewater's definitely the one that's up and coming and ready to start moving forward. I want to ask Matt to pass out some new maps here, if you guys don't mind. Maybe if it's okay, we'll just let them go circulate around here. We'll have to give him a second.
Walk around and just stand and pass. So there's 3 of each one. Just got them separated there.
this goes with the.
Yep.
Yeah, take that.
There you go.
Clearest map we got here, President.
No, it's maps for that. There's more maps than I should have had.
I think
Or
you're,
is there just
I think
one map?
you're in good shape.
Okay.
You're in good shape. Okay, looks like everybody has, I'm looking at the map here, the 11 by 17. So I just wanted to update on everybody on the scope, because we've had some iterations here with the scope and visiting with some of your farmer partners and going through that. Everything that you see in solid colors, solid lines, those are all existing pieces, infrastructure. Anything you see in dashed lines would be proposed. Now, just some numbers for you here. So right now, you guys have about 1,500 acres under irrigation. We would be upping that to 2,700.
If all the proposed ones.
That's all the proposed ones, yep. And I should mention, there's a couple add alternates here, which means basically, we have a couple additional pivots that if budgets allow, would be included in the project as well. So what I'm doing is showing everything here and there indicated as add alternates there. The number of pivots would go from 11 to 20. So,
Landon needs split in, he's locked out apparently.
then the next thing is storage. So really three things: acres of fields, number of pivots, and storage. The storage would go from about 240 acre feet to over 700 acre feet. The deficiency you guys had really was on the storage. That's really everything needed to be expanded, but the storage was quite a bit undersized. So we're essentially doubling the acres and pivots, and we're tripling the basin storage. Does that make sense? I'll let you guys, you have a map?
Yeah,
Okay, just come around. Okay, so you guys can see all the improvements being recommended there. I just wanted to kind of flash that in front of the aldermen and just make sure everybody saw what that looked like. Project budget wise, if we take the budget for the total project cost for what you see here, the base bid, added to the water plant, it's within your bonding capacity that the voters approved. So that's a good check. We always want to keep checking back to what the voters approved there. So that's looking good. Schedule wise, you guys should have a schedule hopefully within your packet. Does everybody have a schedule? It looks like there's actually two schedules. The first one I'm looking at does not say SRF on top of it. It's a 2-page schedule. We live and die by these things. We're big believers in these, and this is very critical in this case because if you turn to the very back page, which is where we started, by March 1st of 2022, the water needs to be flowing through the upgrades. That's it. So we can still do some seeding, the grass seeding, that's fine. But the flowing, the water needs to be flowing through the improvements. So what we did was we took that and we actually worked backwards, developed a schedule. And so tonight is December 16th, and we've got that as the first green flag on the left-hand side of your schedule there. What we would propose to start in is immediately start setting control points out in the field and propose to start surveying. Since this is such a large survey, a lot of the and it doesn't require very critical elevations on a lot of it, we would actually end up surveying a lot of this with a drone. And we'd be able to cover a lot more acres a lot quicker. And so we would start setting control and get the drone footage started as soon as we could. The other thing that would be going on is this archaeological study. We have got to get, unfortunately, the SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, has told us that we need to go do a phase 1, which they're going to go out on site and start digging around within these areas. And that needs to also occur. And you can see the design would occur through April. I'm going to make it really simple for you guys. If your constituents are asking and the city, design would occur in 2020 and construction in 2021. That's just a simple way. I just wanted you guys to see that we had put some thoughts, and this is something we'll be referring to a lot. The other thing, which is not so exciting, is the SRF schedule, and we've got it as well. This is, unfortunately, like we always like to say, the engineering's not the hard part. This schedule right here will delay the project quicker than anything else. So we keep an eye on this, and we do the best we can to keep that moving. So I think what I've discussed so far is the three things we always talk about: the scope of work, the cost, and the schedule. It's usually a good place to start if there's any questions with scope, cost, or schedule.
Where is the what is the area where the archaeological study is going to take place?
Yeah. Good question. So let me back up and explain how that works. So sometimes we don't have an archaeological study, and sometimes it would just be on a portion. What we're finding is, and Matt and I are doing another project with this, and a similar project with the same thing in Carrollton. Sure enough, they require archaeological study. It was the entire project. So we're talking,
Even the areas that are irrigated, since they're not moving any dirt out there, they're just,
any areas that have excavation required. So if it's not being excavated, it's not subject to that review.
So the only areas that are being excavated are around the plant that you're working on, correct?
There are pipelines involved, there are basins involved, and pipelines to new pivots as well. So,
Thanks.
Matt, what was the area of study for archaeological? Do you recall? It's hundreds of acres. So I'm glad you guys brought that up. That was one of the things we'll get to tonight on how how to get that in the project, because we don't know if that's gonna happen. It did on this one, unfortunately. So we'll talk about that. Any other questions on the scope, the cost, or the schedule, of the overall project?
Well, I have a question on the number of bases. These weren't projected originally, all these additional pivots,
Okay.
is that correct?
Uh,
We were just adding the city's, what the city was buying, and that was supposed to take care of it?
No, we always needed additional corn and soybeans. So, what you're referring to there is part of, on hayfield, you can put 24 inches a year,
Right.
irrigated. On corn and soybeans, it varies between 1 and 7, depending on the type of year it is, the weather. And so we always had to have some mixture of corn and soybeans. The fescue is really the best, if you can do it, which you've got, control over that, which is in the white. You see the white circle. But we always needed some amount of that with it.
What I'm wondering is if, will there be enough water for all these additional pivots?
Yeah, another great question. This is something that I can tell you, we've spent a lot of time thinking about this and studying, because the last thing you wanna do, it's kind of a balancing act. You don't wanna starve the existing farmers from their pivots, but we can't release water.
Right.
So what we're seeing, and we've had really honest conversations with them, that what we're gonna try and what the operators are gonna focus on is getting water to corn and soybeans first. That's the number one priority, is getting their basins full. And that's what we wanna do. If we need to hit the fescue, we hit the fescue, because that really doesn't have value to them. So it's kind of a priority with it. And there's gonna be years where it's pretty dry and you don't have a lot,
Right.
but.
I think the plan is, and it's gonna be a learning curve for Matt and them out there to figure out the schedule of how to get it, but the first year, everybody's pond will be full. That's number one priority. And if we start low, we start low. The farmers have told us that it's a benefit for them to have that water to make anything that got's a benefit. So when they run out, they're still ahead of everybody else, so.
Well, what I'm wondering is if there's this much interest to add new pivot systems, who's paying for these pivot systems?
Okay, yeah, another good clarification. So within the SRF project that you guys are taking on, this is basically the same arrangement that was done 30, 40 years ago. You guys are taking on all the transmission mains and the pivots, and the farmers are taking on constructing the basins.
I mean, if there's this much interest, would they be interested in taking over the pivots, and we wouldn't have that problem?
You know, that's another good one. Another great one, because what we ran across here is DNR really wants the city to have control over the entire flow path of that wastewater, all the way to the finish line. And so if they don't have control over when those pivots and what they're doing, and own and operate and maintain those things, then that is an issue for them.
Because the farmers are not certified operators. That means everything to them.
We have to own them and control them, and it gets
And by that,
100%.
we give them the water and they take care of it from there.
But we
which
don't
saves a
control
bunch-
when they put the water on anyway.
That's true, but it also allows them to do what they need to do, and we've got DNR permission to do what they're doing. So they've got a little flexibility, and we got a little flexibility to keep sending it to them as quick as we can.
Because, I mean, this is a pretty good benefit for these farmers, and I mean, you can tell because they're wanting to add all these systems. They're getting a hell of a benefit out of this, and the city's paying for it.
But it's saving our tail too.
Well, it is.
We're getting a benefit too.
I mean, it's not that we're getting the benefit, but the whole idea of putting in this grass area, with the city, owning it, is we can take care of the excess water.
And that's our
Because that
relief.
can be run almost all year. I mean, every time except when the ground's frozen.
Well, the expensive part is the land, and if we don't have land, a pivot doesn't mean anything. We have to buy the land.
But you can put more water on that, field of fescue than you will on several fields of corn of the same size.
Does it boil down to the DNR once one person, the whole is responsible?
Yeah,
Basically, it's what it really boils down to. That's what I'm hearing, is the DNR wants one person to go to and say, you haven't done what you're supposed to do, or you are doing what you're supposed to do, or you're not, and this is what you're to do to remedy this, is that correct?
That's right.
That's probably why, I understand what he's saying exactly.
But I mean, it looks to me like that maybe they ought to be paying for the privilege of having, some of this, and, because they are getting a definite benefit out of it. I'm not saying the city's not benefiting from it.
No, absolutely.
But believe me, in a dry year, their crops are doing well in these pivot systems where they're not doing so well elsewhere.
Right.
And that's costing the city a lot of money to put these extra pivot systems in and maintain them.
We don't have a choice, do we?
The system will need to be expanded, so it's a matter of how those negotiations play out, I think, can happen. But the expansions will need to occur, for sure. And it's been lucrative for you guys, let me tell
Well,
you.
I realize that, but I mean, I don't understand why we have to own the pivot system if we don't have to own the irrigation
That
funds.
was the original agreement that we've always
I
had.
realize that.
I do know DNR is heartburn.
But we could end up in a situation like a neighboring town has, that they don't own their
And then,
utilities anymore, they sold. That's not a place I don't think we wanna be, but that's because they didn't have anybody want to co-op with them on projects like that, and they had no place to go with
There
their
was more to it than that.
Uh,
There was a lot more to it than that.
So based on your forecast, if we don't do these additions, how long will the system work for us?
You'll be in compliance until March 1st of 2022.
I mean, without the additional pivots that you're talking about setting up the other areas.
Well, it's really an issue of capacity, so you won't, right now, you actually discharge some of the water into the creek, treated water. And on March 1st of 2022, you wouldn't be able to treat that to the level DNR requires.
Right.
So then you couldn't,
I meant the capacity, I meant the additions that you've added to this, the extra pivots you're talking about adding versus what we originally talked
it
about.
kinda depends on.
When's that capacity run out?
It kinda depends on the year as far as how much water we're getting, and our savior has been that overland flow field that you're seeing right here, that blue square box by the rectangle. We were able to run that. If we can't run that, we won't make it. Even on a fairly wet year, we won't make it, because we've got that much flow coming through right now. We're doing our infiltration studies, we're lining stuff, but we've just got too much water going through.
And Mike, when you say we won't make it, then what happens?
Then we have to discharge, and then we get
When's the last
First-
time we've discharged?
We get
2009. But we've had this field here to save us.
Right. But if we have that irrigation field that we,
We'll know that irrigation field will take up, we can put 24 inches of water on it. With the soil around here, we probably won't be able to put that
Well,
much on,
probably
because it's gonna run off, and we can't do that either. It still can't go to the ditch. I mean,
Right.
once it gets to that point, we've gotta shut it down. So,
but still, it'll take a lot of water.
it will, we've modeled that, it will not alone take care of the problem. It won't.
Well, I realize that. I mean, I'm just wondering about the whole idea of, we give them the water, we pay for the system, we pay for the pumping, we pay for it all, and they reap the benefit off of it. The city gets the benefit too. But maybe there should be a little bit different split in the cost of some of this.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably one of the areas of this project that I really am not comfortable weighing in on as far as the negotiations with that. As far as the engineering side of things, I'm well versed there, but who pays for what is probably not in my scope of work there, so. I understand it's a significant effort and something we consider, so.
I mean, if they, because while you say we've gotta control the whole thing, we don't control those irrigation ponds. I mean, that's theirs, at their expense.
Yeah, that's what my understanding is they're bringing to the table. We move forward with that. Nothing's been contracted, but that's the past way it was set up, so.
Because, I mean, adding all these irrigation systems, I mean, that's gonna add significantly to the budget for that department. And I'm just thinking maybe there'd be a more equitable split for the city.
Any more thoughts? I mean, I think it's it's a point, is it, you know, I mean, I don't know, at this point, is that something to be negotiated or brought up to talk about with our partners in this program?
What I heard was the DNR requires us to own and control the pivots. If that's the case,
That doesn't mean that there can't be a more equitable split, and they couldn't pay the city for some of this.
Does
It's a lot
anybody
of
else
money
do
to get
this anywhere else in the country?
Yes.
And does anybody else make the farmers buy the pivots?
They're all different. Sometimes the ground's leased. Sometimes I'm sure that the farmers own the pivots. I'm sure there's times where maintenance is different. It's just, each one's gonna be different. I know that leases are probably more common than not, so. To have the available land, it's just, it would be something you all would have to weigh on that.
I mean, I'm not saying that we don't wanna expand it like this, I'm just saying that I'm not sure the city should be footing the whole bill on this.
Well, the question is, do we wanna go back to somebody we've been dealing with in supposed with good faith and say now that we're down to the 11th hour, because we'll get to the 11th hour, because this timeline's gonna be affected critically if anybody balks or anything, right? And so the question is, do we go back now and, as we're out in the middle of the creek and say, we're out in the middle of the water and say, oh, by the way, would you wanna renegotiate what you own on this and you wanna give us money? I'm afraid it could create some hard feelings, but I haven't been involved as much as Mike, so I would defer to Mike's thoughts of the conversations we've had. I know the farmers have been very willing, it's beneficial, then probably
Well,
very willing,
and
right?
this goes back a long ways from
Sure.
what was negotiated. That
Long
doesn't
time ago.
necessarily mean that's what it should stay. And especially with these newer systems, maybe there ought to be a different break on it, maybe they ought to be paying a little bit more.
Well, I think that should have maybe been brought up before we started talking to them, because they're making some pretty big out of their pocket, what they're doing. I mean, they're having to clear land, they're digging ponds, and it benefits them and us. I mean, any way we go, it benefits us, we don't have to discharge.
Right, I understand that.
And I guarantee you, we're gonna be so far ahead of where we are now when we do this, I don't see it being a problem. Because we've been barely getting by. Yes, we've been using that over on flow, but I think this is gonna make a world of difference, keep us out of hock on it. I just.
It's like insurance. You buy insurance, you might not need it, but when you need it, it's there and you're glad you got it. So, I mean, you never know what the weather's gonna be.
And we're blessed to have the farmers we've got.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sharp
there-
operators, I know that's not the point you're trying to make, but they've helped us immensely to run when there ain't even crops there, and we're gonna ask them again, that'll be part of it.
And I realize that, but I mean, I also know there's a lot of people around here who install their own center pivot systems, and they have to drill wells in order to do that, or,
Real, like,
build their own lakes in order to do it. You know, this is a significant benefit where they're not having to do as much.
my personal opinion, like I said, was I think it's awful late in the game to now wanna change and negotiate when we've had an agreement. Because we basically, good faith, started an agreement process and contracted with these people to do this program.
How long are these contracts for?
We talked at least 25 years, I think is what we were thinking.
I think this thing was every 10 they renew, is that what the?
Yeah, we renew them every 10 and go over them, just to make sure that, that's the time if something
That's
changes.
at the time we would have a discussion about turning the maintenance over, what have you. I think at that time we could do that, but it's a benefit to us to have these long-term versus all of a sudden we lose a third of that extra capacity that we have out there, and it puts us in a bind, you know. I mean, that's a concern, right? That's the scary part of this whole thing. Just being able to have some place to go with the,
I guarantee you, DNR would definitely like to see longer-term contracts to guarantee that the money that they're helping with is gonna be put to good use for a long time.
Yeah, DNR's loan would be 20 years with this, so we think 20 is the minimum we would suggest, just with that.
The laws are gonna get more rigid too, in the next 5 or 10 years, aren't they? We don't even know how bad it's gonna get.
Well, we don't have to worry about the discharge if we go with enough of these systems. That's the whole idea, you're getting rid of the discharge. And then you don't have to worry about the money levels or anything else.
And if we become a desert, we're one of the foolish cities in the world, but you don't know what Mother Nature will do.
Well, with expanded growth that we're gonna have, you've gotta take that into consideration, your gallons go up. Every household you have, or any business or whatever, so if it's inside the city limits and on the system. So the bottom line is, we wanna have business partners that wanna expand with maybe 10 years from now. This may work for 10 years, but we may need more of a footprint than we have today. That'd be a good problem to have, because it would mean we have grown, and we've grown in a way that we have the capacity of folks living within the city limits of citizens of Centralia. But I mean, that's pretty common sense to me. Is that correct, what I'm thinking?
Yeah, well said.
Good points. I think that, it's where we're at. Any other thoughts other than what we discussed? Go ahead.
I will just mention that contracting is something that I think your legal counsel will help with and set those up, so. What we really want to focus on is what you're seeing here on the map, and if we're good here, the schedule says we need to be starting design. But the first of the year, we get the survey going, we get the design going, and then the legal team can start working there. So really tonight is a pretty significant night in terms of starting a lot of these things off. What we've got here tonight is, we have our design contract for this work, which is everything that you see in dotted lines on the map. That task order that you all should have in your packet takes you from today. We do surveying, design, permitting, and bidding. So what it would get you to the last step in that scope of work it would be me at a meeting saying, here's our bids and here's the low bid on recommendation. That would be the end of that task order as you guys see it. One thing we've done is prepared, you might see a schedule like this with the yellow bands across it. What we do when we prepare our fee estimates is we go through and do a man-hour estimate. Basically, Matt and I sat down and huddled up for several hours going through what all we thought it would take to design a system like this. And we listed every task that we've come up with and then assigned hours and individuals to that. Whether or not they were electrical engineers or civil engineers or surveyors or whoever was on here. And so basically we come up with an estimate of what that is. And just like we've done on our drinking water project and our other SRF projects, those are hourly contracts. And which means that we only charge you for what's actually charged. Okay? I don't know if, this is something you all are, I'm sure, going to want to take a look at, but if you want to see where these come from, study these. That's just kind of back up for that. I've got the task order here as well, which should be in your packet on your screen. Matt, do we want to add anything to that?
I don't think so, unless you guys have questions, we can answer about specific tasks we have listed there.
Or what that might cover. One thing we've done, we heard from you guys last time we did this, was we broke it up into a kind of a design phase, and then we held off on the construction phase services, which would be construction admin and construction observation until when it's actually ready. Because I understand you guys don't want to sign a bunch of contracts that aren't going to happen for a year, because that you want to leave that up to that next board. So this gets you through a real logical milestone of bidding on that. And so this you guys have this in your, everybody have this one on the screen. So this is your all's task order. This is for the design, survey design, permitting and bidding. Again, this is an hourly contract, not to exceed fee. The fee is $468,575 for that. So it's got the scope of work there, which is basically, if you want to read a bigger print, the next few pages are going to have that exactly what is on the fee estimate sheet. So the other thing to mention with this, your construction is eligible for SRF, and so is your engineering. So basically all of this is in that voter approved bonding capacity. That'll be submitted to DNR that will be reimbursed through that program. Now, this is something to keep in mind for your budgets. This is, the city pays for the design, and then whenever the SRF program comes, you submit your invoices, and then that goes on to your
Reimbursement, yeah.
bonding capacity, yep, that you guys have authorized, so. So that's the process for that one. The next task order was when I mentioned about the SHPO requiring the cultural resource survey. Normally, you guys would just go ahead and do that, but to make it easier on you to not have to interview all these firms, we just do it under us on a separate task order. They were wanting to charge $8,800 for that, which is another project eligible expense. To make it eligible, you'd have to properly procure them. So we just did a task order for $800. As soon as we get the invoice from them, we'll just pass it through, and that way you guys can put it on the SRF program. I've got that in your packet as well. We've actually hired this firm before. They know what to do for DNR, so.
So you've got good history of experience with them?
We do, yeah. We actually did our one in Carrollton, and.
Well, they're gonna reflect on you, so I'm sure you're gonna pick someone that's gonna do the job.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we want to just make sure they check the box for DNR, and that's what they did in Carrollton, so we're looking for that again. And then the last task order amendment today is our SRF assistance task order. These are some of the things we've been working on for you guys. You guys gave us an initial budget of $15,000, and it looks like we're gonna need, we think next year will give us another 10, will get us through the year. 10,000 for DNR to complete the rest of the environmental information document and coordination with the rest of these environmental agencies. So we're basically responding to DNR, keeping them moving. That was that SRF schedule we showed you.
Is that budgeted in there?
And that's an eligible expense as well, so.
It's eligible, but is it still within the overall budget frame that
It is, so. Yeah. That's something we're always referring ourselves back to, because the voters gave you guys a certain amount of money to work with. That's our budget. And so we know we have to keep this whole project within.
That was the first thing we talked about. You brought it up to bring me up to speed and you do the whole thing, so.
Yeah. And another thing, you guys bring that up, another thing we're looking at is the drinking water. Because this is a combined system financially. So we have to add the two together. We don't know what the bids are on drinking water yet. So right now, you're at the most risk, because we're hoping those bids come in good, but those two things combined together total right there, so. Any questions on that? I have 2 more action items tonight as well relative to SRF, but I can stop here and answer any questions. Sorry I've been so long. The next 2 things are relative to SRF, how you're funding the project. The first one is a resolution to elect someone as a designated official for signing. DNR likes to see this. You may have this in your packet as well.
I think they just have our resolution, but it's the same wording, it's just in our format.
They want to see this, whoever's supposed to sign for everything moving forward. It's up to you guys who that is, but this is involved. And then the actual application itself for funding, I have that. Heather and I have been working on that as well, and it's here. So that would be the first thing, that whoever's name is on here, this would be the first thing they would sign. So those are the other 2. Is there any nomination? Since the nominations go around.
Usually it's the mayor.
I got a feeling, yeah.
The way it's written in the resolution.
It's all right,
Mayor.
it's fine.
So, Matt, did I miss anything?
You got it all.
We've covered a lot here tonight, so. Yeah, we've got a I guess the overall thing is we've got a schedule in front of us, we've got a budget, our solutions are within budget, and it's time to get to work on designing. It's time to get the drones out there, get the survey done, and start the legal contracting portion of the farmer contracts and step through it.
Like checks and measures on all the costs, you've got all this going on and going on. I mean, because then you have this estimated cost, all of a sudden that changes, this changes, that changes. Next thing the costing fluctuates, we don't find out about it till a meeting. Who's the go-to person here that, all of a sudden, now we went up 10% on this cost, 15% on this cost, And, cause that's gonna happen.
How's that gonna get communicated early?
Is that your communication with Mike or with Heather, or? Or we just wait and see, well, all these order changes came through and we took care of it, next thing you know, another $45,000. See, that won't happen, will it?
No, well, I mean, I can relate it, I just built a house and I do the exact same thing. We can't, the good thing about where we are now is when, back to, I was relating
That's all.
back to the house. If I'm pouring my footings and I hit rock, I can take the granite out down here. The good thing about being early, and if we can anticipate, number one thing is you have to know, and you pointed that out. If you know something's wrong here, you can fix it down here. So communication is everything on budget, because we have, and that's why these ad alternates are in here. If things come in under, I want to get you guys the most improvement you can get to make sure this is done, and it's, 30 years in a row. But Mike's been our point of contact with that, and just to give you guys some security, some sense of trust here, the last 3 SRF projects we've done come in significantly under budget. We just, the one in Carrollton right now, on the design fee, the same fee we just presented to you guys, is $100,000 in the budget. So when we give you guys budgets here, and they're going to paper, I'm a subscriber, by the way, to the Fireside, so I want to make sure when I come back to you a year from now, I go, that was a good budget. Because I'm sitting up here and my name, and I'm speaking in this microphone. And I'm not saying we've never had a budget go over, but
We hope.
at the end of the day, that's my job, is to give you guys good advice. So that's the only thing I can do, is to say, here's a good budget. And
So it's the biggest thing we have at risk through this budget is the bids that come in?
that's the biggest project expense.
But I mean, that's your biggest risk, if everybody comes in 15% above,
Yeah.
where you kinda estimate it should probably fall, based upon design,
That's,
concept.
if there's one thing that keeps me up at night in engineering, it's bids, because I can't control. And the only thing we can do is bid at the right time of year and get the news out, get the word out.
Agree.
So,
When I look at your engineer's estimate, you've got contingencies built in here.
we do, I think we should pull,
It's 1.2 million some change between the contingencies in there,
he's looking at this sheet right here, you guys have that on your table.
so there's a buffer. I'm assuming your contingencies is a buffer in this.
It is, it's, you're seeing construction contingencies there,
There's construction, and the biggest is the non-construction for 896,000.
so that covers a list of about 17 different things, that are anticipated. So I wouldn't consider that one, any sort of contingency on that one. Yeah. So,
So then if you look at the others, there's a little over 300, 325 between them.
let me see here. So I've got the contingency for construction for about 171,000. And then another 23 below on the ad alternates as well, so a couple 100,000 in contingency with that, in these estimates. One thing we did on these estimates is we sought out, manufacturer, for instance, the pivots. There's a lot of money in pivots in this project. We sought out real bids on that stuff earlier on, so, and we'll continue to check this estimate, checking it. And if
We have a
some,
couple 100,000 petty cash, don't we, just in case? Have to take the soda fund. All right.
let's see, I think that's probably it. So, the main thing we're looking ahead to is March 1st of 2022. And making sure everything's online by then, so. I think that's pretty much all I had here, but I can answer questions, or Mike, do you have anything to throw in there?
A year from now, you're gonna come back and say, good budget. Right, that's what you said, right? I don't know, you're sweating now.
No.
You're gonna say good budget.
No, it's, I think this microphone's on, so, that's the plan.
And bring us another cup.
Okay. I wanna bring in a good bid, that's the best part. I know, hope we can, that's the number one thing that makes engineers nervous, is putting out there and say what something will cost, because generally between our low bid, you won't hardly believe this, but the low bid to the high bid is about double. So they don't even agree on what it is. So for us to go out there and put ourselves out there on a piece of paper and say, here's what it costs, it makes us struggle. But,
Depends on how hungry they are.
And Gary's done a good job of keeping us up. As soon as I hear something, I'm letting her know, and he's keeping both of us in the loop, so there's questions that have been involved as far as what we want that will work the best for us, and Matt's also involved in this too, so, because he's gonna be doing a lot of the operating, so.
Anything else, Heather?
No.
Anything else, anybody? Well, we appreciate your time, coming up and bringing us up to speed on this. We appreciate all your work and partnering with us on it so far at this point, and what you've done in the past, so thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Hopefully we bring in some bids in the spring, for the drinking water side.
Yep.
That'll answer the $2 million question.
Good question.
Matt, Gary, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate you. All right, that moves us on now to comments from citizens. Do we have any comments from any citizens? With that, I'll take it as we don't. We're at the consent agenda. If you folks want to take a look at that.
The minutes from the planning and zoning meeting from December 4th are in here, and we were supposed to have a public hearing on the agenda, and I just failed to get it on there. It was advertised in the Guard. It should have been a rezoning request, public hearing, so we'll put that back on the agenda for January. The rezoning,
Oh,
Darren's
Things that
request.
were not recommended by the planning and zoning,
Yes,
we still need a public hearing?
yes, before the Board of Aldermen, and that, I dropped the ball on that, I knew that, and
I
I
believe-
did not get it on there.
I believe a couple of folks that were there will present to us. That's why we won't go ahead and, it was posted, you posted it, right? But we didn't put a link to it.
Right.
So I don't want anybody not to have a chance to state your case.
So the public hearing will be,
January 20th.
I move we accept the consent agenda.
Like,
I have a first and a second to accept the consent agenda. All in favor? All opposed? Accepted as such. Next is accounts payable of $1,250 equaling $287,800, $287,873.59.
Move we accept the accounts payable over $1,250 for a grand total of $287,873.59.
second.
Seconded by Don Rogers. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Accounts payable over $1,250 passes. That brings us down to finance. Another finance, we have number one, authorize the mayor of Centralia, Missouri to enter into an agreement with the Stiefel investment for the St. Louis, Missouri for financial services ordinance. Did you have anything to say about that?
I did send out an email about this, I think we talked about it the last meeting, we didn't get it on the agenda. So I had contacted MPUA regarding the financing for this, because they helped us with the, like a substitution lease purchase agreement, and we've been back and forth for months trying to figure out financing, and just having a hard time getting them to respond, so, we just thought that this might be an alternative way to go. But we've been in contact with Stiefel, I talked to them at several conferences, they seem very eager and willing to help us. They've done some funding for the, school district and for the water district, two in Mexico. Tony King spoke highly of them.
So we have references?
Yes, yes.
Any other thoughts? Alderman Rogers, would you take this ordinance?
Bill number
2322.
231,
2-2.
2322. Move that bill number 2322 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
First and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Bill number 2322, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into an agreement with Stifel Investment Group of St. Louis, Missouri Financial Services. Move that bill number 2322 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
Okay, first and second, all in favor, second reading?
Right.
All opposed?
Bill number 2322, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into an agreement with the Stifel Investment Group of St. Louis, Missouri Financial Services. Move that bill number 2322 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
First and second, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Boyd?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
Four.
Alderman Magley?
Yeah.
Okay, ordinance passes, ordinance number?
3036.
Okay. Now we're on to permits and licensing, which we have none. Now we're down to legal. First one's approved report of Centralia Planning and Zoning, the final plat of proposed Riley's Park subdivision, approving the final plat of the proposed Riley's Park subdivision. Alderman Motley, would you take this ordinance?
Hang on a minute.
Sure.
We probably need to discuss this in just a little bit
Sure.
before we do anything. It should be approved, but there should be a couple of conditions on this. One, we don't have the final plat signed yet, because I just found out today that there is not a mortgage on this, and so we don't need the bank to sign off on it. So that was removed from the plat. They're going to be borrowing money, but they will not be borrowing it until after the plat is in effect. And so the bank will not need to sign off on it. Normally, if they borrow the money beforehand, the bank would have to sign off on it. The second thing is, what else was there? Oh, have you got everything, the letter of credit and everything ready for him? For the bank, for the bank to sign off on for the sidewalks and stuff like that? The improvements that have been made?
I do have a draft of that. I need to make sure that Sydney got back with me before she left on that,
Okay.
but I sent it that day.
So, I mean, that's another thing, there needs to be a letter of credit in place to guarantee the improvements that haven't been installed to date. I think that's it, right? So we can go ahead and approve it, but it won't be recorded until after the rest of this is done.
Why don't we just approve it when it's all done?
Because of building permits and other things. It's normally done this way.
Well,
It's normally done, you pass it before all the stuff's approved?
Before everything is signed, I mean, it's not uncommon to do things like that, no.
Well, I thought we decided we were gonna start doing stuff to where the board is not, here, this is what needs to be done, but we could go and approve this. Thought we all kind of come to an agreement with that. I mean,
In other instances, we have done a letter of credit, just to ensure that the improvements are done. And one that we have on file was one that Lynn had created.
The mortgage information
Yeah, I'm
not being on
confused
there,
too.
that doesn't bother me that much, because that's, it says it needs a mortgage and it doesn't, that doesn't bother me too much, if I'm understanding you correctly, Don. The letter of credit, where are we at with that then? What is, where should we be and where are we, I guess is the.
It's created, it just needs to go to Boyd and be signed by the bank and signed by, it's just an agreement saying that he will have an irrevocable letter of credit.
You said everything, and then you acted like, kinda like, well, hold on, and then when you got done, okay. It's okay.
Well-
Yeah, that's right. Is it okay?
It's not uncommon to do these things that where you pass them and it's conditional upon getting everything else done.
I understand that, but if we do it this time, then we gotta keep doing it from here on out. We can't do it this time and say, the next person say, no, we can't do it. So
Well,
we're either gonna do it, or we're not gonna do it.
I disagree a little bit, because I think it depends on what you're missing and what you're gonna add, subject to, right? If we do approve it, subject to these two conditions. If it was something like that we're gonna sign blindly, the park's a perfect example. There's 2 or 3 things, exhibits there that we don't have. Until those are signed, there's no way I would sign, should move forward. I think it depends on what we're missing or what we're needing. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a case-by-case situation a little bit. I agree absolutely, because I was the first one to say, we're not gonna get back in the corner and all of a sudden have to vote on something. We've all talked about that a lot. It won't happen with me, you know what I'm saying? I agree with what you're saying 100%. I think kind of it depends though on what is it we're missing. Is it something we're really putting ourselves at risk in? I think that's an important part of it, right?
That's what I said, the mortgage thing, it says there's a they need to remove something saying that they didn't mortgage, that doesn't bother me at all.
So,
I worry about the letter of credit, I mean, if that's
Well,
something that we're expecting.
But you're
then-
approving it conditional upon. If the condition never happens, then the approval is never finally approved because it's conditional upon that.
And we will not.
And the plat won't be recorded and he can't sell lots. So, I mean, it's very simple.
you still have control over the execution
You
of.
still have control over the execution because if the plat's not recorded, he's not gonna get building permits for anything else. He's not going to get final approval. The plat's not gonna be recorded. He can't sell lots. He can't sell the units that he's building.
So there again, we're back in the corner. He should have had all this done before we got this in front of us.
Not necessarily.
What's the difference between that and the golf course deal? There's nothing.
Whatever.
It's not whatever. I mean, if it's good for one, it's good for all.
The conditional approval still means that the city's in control of it.
Yeah, the city's still in control of it, so if we don't pass it, then we're still in control of it.
What if we don't vote on this tonight and wait and do it the next meeting, where everything still be on, and then it'd be right? Would that not hurt anything?
The meeting of the 20th. I'll be here the 20th.
Pardon?
I'm gonna be here the 20th. I don't plan on not being here, so it don't matter to me. I mean, I do think that there will be things that come across to us in here as a group, making the decision, you folks, and us talking about it, that we will want to go ahead and move through for the evening, you know, what's on the agenda. Now, this is one of those that if there are 2 or 3 points of contention, the letter of credit, as you're saying here, if it bothers you, worries you, then I think we should pump the brakes and say, hold on, we should get our ducks in a row, and these things need to be executed first, and then we'll move forward.
So what is the risk to the city in not having that letter of credit signed right now?
I mean, if you're passing it conditionally,
Now, I'm gonna put on my black and white hat, there's nothing on this ordinance in front of us that says conditional.
you're right.
There are no conditions, so if we were to pass this conditionally, wouldn't we have to read every single word on this with the
If
conditions
you
added to it?
change question, I think that's right, I think that's
Yes,
what
you
someone
would.
said.
No, you would, it'd have to be because at that point comes a verbal contract that we're
So
making.
if we're being black and white about it, and this is something that we could easily be black and white on.
Mhm.
Is this one of those situations where we're gonna run into where we need a special meeting because we're putting people out of work though?
No.
We're already issuing building permits on because the preliminary plat was approved.
That's not holding any of that up, it would
So
go.
we knew that up.
So, I mean, to wait till the 20th would not be detrimental to the business partner we have trying to build there. Yeah.
I don't wanna hurt people in their employment either, and just,
But there will be times that they will put us, you all been put in that spot, we've been put in that spot as council before, that we should have voted on stuff that we should, and we're gonna make sure we're careful of that, and I appreciate the discussion tonight about that.
So if we're giving building permits, it don't matter if we pass this tonight or not.
It doesn't impede the progress of the project for him.
So they can go out there tomorrow and start building because they got a building permit.
Sure,
Whether-
they can build, but he can't sell any of the lots yet.
So basically
And
all,
it's not recorded.
all it is he can't sell a lot yet out there
Mhm.
because the final plot's not needed.
Right.
But I don't see why we pass it tonight. I say we wait till the 20th.
Is there a motion, or
Yeah.
no motion? To not pass it tonight, wait till 20th?
second.
I have a second to, not vote on this orders tonight and wait for the 20th. All in favor? All opposed?
I abstain.
You abstain, so to put this on the 20th and not vote on tonight pass. Number 2, an ordinance for calling the April 7, 2020 municipal election ordinance. Anything you want to add to that, or
Well, this
pretty
is,
straightforward?
we have to do this every year.
You know? Alderman Motley, would you take that for me, please?
Bill number 2323. Move that bill number 2323, be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
It's been first and seconded, first reading, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passed.
An ordinance calling for general city election to be held on Tuesday, April 7, 2020. Municipal election day to elect 3 aldermen for a 2-year term. Move that bill number 2323 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
First, second for the second reading, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
An ordinance calling for a general city election to be held on Tuesday, April 7, 2020, a municipal election day to elect 3 aldermen for a 2-year term. Move that bill number 2323 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
First and second adopt by roll call vote. Tara, please.
Alderman Magley,
Yeah.
Alderman Rogers,
Form.
Alderman Borman,
Yes.
Alderman Hudson,
Yes.
Alderman Motley.
Yes.
Ordinance number passes. Ordinance number.
3036.
That's what we got last time. 37, right?
Should have been 3035 for the first one.
I think, until I heard that. Okay. I'm still a little shaky too, so. Okay. Number 3 is authorize the mayor to enter into a third-party billing agreement for wholesale electric with Nextera Energy Power Marketing LLC. If you remember, that's where Ameren is gonna have them be the third-party people to take that over, is what that is. We've talked a little bit about it, but that's what that is, correct?
Yes.
So that's all it is, they're just transferring who's gonna collect the money. So if I could get Alderman Borman, please take that. Borman.
Bill number
2325.
I move that bill number
No,
23,
sorry.
what?
It's 2324.
2324.
Sorry, the numbering's off. Let's just get the one.
I move that bill number 2324 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
The first and second. The first reading, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
A bill to create an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into a third-party billing agreement for wholesale electric with Next Era Energy Power Marketing LLC of Juno Beach, Florida. I move that bill number 2324 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
First and second for second reading, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
A bill to create an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into a third-party billing agreement for wholesale electric with Next Era Energy Power Marketing LLC of Juno Beach, Florida. I move that bill number 2324 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
First and second, passes, roll call vote, please. Sarah?
Alderman Hudson,
Yes.
Alderman Motley,
Yes.
Alderman Borman,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
Four.
Alderman Magley.
Yeah.
It passes, ordinance number?
3037.
There we go. Okay. Down to four, this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to file an application with Missouri DNR for state revolving funds for loans under the Missouri Safe Drinking Water. Ron? Alderman Magley, would you take that resolution, please?
Which one are we at now?
Authorizing the mayor to file an application for,
No,
Page 85 on the
that's it.
Okay.
I think that's it.
It's a resolution, right, or is it?
Yeah. resolution.
Number, please?
2325.
I move ordinance number 2325 to be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
Have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes for its first reading, only reading.
Resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to file an application with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources State Revolving Fund Program for loans under the Missouri Clean Water Law, Section 644 RSMO. I move that bill number 2325 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
Have a first and a second, roll call vote for 2325.
Alderman Hudson,
Yes.
Alderman Motley,
Yes.
Alderman Borman,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
Four.
Alderman Magley.
Yep.
It passes, resolution number,
R-19-16.
thank you, Mr. Magley. Number five, ordinance, authorize the mayor to sign an outdoor warning siren placement agreement with Boone County, Missouri Office of Emergency Management. If I could I get you to do that, Mr. Hudson, Alderman Hudson?
Bill number?
2326.
I move that bill number 2326 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
And second by Alderman Magley. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
A bill to create an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into an outdoor warning siren placement agreement with Boone County, Missouri Office of Emergency Management. Move that bill number 2326 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
Second by Alderman Rogers. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into an outdoor warning siren placement agreement with Boone County, Missouri Office of Emergency Management. Move that bill number 2326 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second. The first and second for roll call vote. passes. Ordinance number?
3038.
Now we're down to 6, amending section 4-2 of the Centralia Code regarding animal use and neglect ordinance. So when we talked about the final version, we talked about, last Monday, correct? We had some folks speak. It was kind of the middle of the road. I think it's what we tried to get to after several, editions of it, right? That's kind of where we're at with it. Any conversation on that, or comments or discussion? All right, then I would ask that, Alderman Motley, if you would please take that.
Okay, bill number 2327. Move that bill number 2327 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
Have a first and second, first reading, all in favor? All opposed? Passes.
An ordinance amending section 4-2 of the Code of the City of Centralia, Missouri regarding animal abuse and neglect. Move that bill number 2327 be given its second reading by title only.
Second, or, yeah.
The second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
An ordinance amending section 4-2 of the Code of the City of Centralia, Missouri regarding animal abuse or neglect. Move that bill number 2327 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
Have a first and second for roll call vote.
Alderman Hudson,
Yes.
Alderman Motley,
Yes.
Alderman Borman,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
Four.
Alderman Magley,
Yeah.
It passes. Ordinance number?
3039.
Number 7, amending the formal written policy concerning schedule of vehicle and equipment use charges to be used for calculating the cost of the work performed with city-owned vehicles and equipment resolution. Could you take that, Alderman Rogers, please?
Bill number?
2328.
Bill number 2328, a resolution of the City of Centralia, Missouri, amending resolution number R-08-15 and adopting an amended formal written policy concerning a schedule of vehicle and equipment use charges to be used for calculating the cost of work performed with city-owned vehicles and equipment. Move that bill number 2328 be adopted by roll call vote.
Can you go
You
through all of
skipped a couple steps, Don.
them? Could you go through all of those first?
I did. Anybody have a question? Item 714, I don't know what that is. It's an air compressor.
Do we have to, do you wanna discuss them?
Item by item.
Oh, God.
I have to read it every time you,
I may resign.
Please, no.
you want me to start?
No, we don't have to.
Move that bill number 2328 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second. First and second, roll call vote.
Are we skipping the first two steps though?
Yeah, I think you skipped a step.
It's a resolution, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh,
Resolution.
okay.
So it says on my sheet.
It is a resolution, so.
I don't remember hearing him say, are we gonna,
He read,
be given it a first and a second on whether we
well, we
were
don't
gonna-
need a
by
second, we
title
need a
only.
first.
You want me to read it? You want me to start all over?
Start over, Dolly.
Pardon?
Start over.
There we go.
We're going into overtime.
My gosh.
Is there anything in this cup?
I love you. Keep it up.
Bill number 2328,
Yes.
a resolution of the City of Centralia, Missouri.
You
amending-
missed it. You missed it again.
Move that bill number, bill number
Big as first
2328 be given its first reading by title only.
Second. You almost had to read it again.
First and a second, reread first and only time. All in favor? All opposed? It passes. Now, Donnie, do your thing. Finish it
A resolution of the City of Centralia, Missouri, amending resolution number R-08-15 and adopting an amended formal written policy concerning a schedule of vehicle and equipment use charges to be used for calculating the cost of work performed with city-owned vehicles and equipment. Move that bill number 2328 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
Second, roll call vote, Tara, please.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Borman?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
4.
Alderman Magley?
Yeah.
Passes. Resolution number?
R-19-17.
Oh, no.
I feel like we should know.
You wanna go through these?
Somebody had a question on one.
We're on number 8, amending the formal written policy concerning reimbursement of expenses related to maintaining a personal mobile phone for certain employees of the city. It's the one we discussed a little bit the other night at the meeting on Monday, discussion.
What, so it's for the police department, is that correct?
We would be
Or is
adding
it
them,
for?
we would be adding them to this ordinance. We already pay on-call employees, we already reimburse them $20 per month, and foremen are $40.
Are we doing it, or is the fire department on this too then?
That's what I asked last week, and there was no discussion. Denny said they rely more on their pagers.
But they can use it by the address. They just ramble on the radios, he said. I'm just asking, I mean, they're city employees too,
Sure.
and they use their,
That's why I asked last week.
I don't foresee any reason we,
I mean, if it is, that's $6,000 a year that we're spending just on those two departments.
We do currently reimburse the fire chief $40 a month.
I mean, that's not counting, I wasn't counting the $40, I was just counting the 20, and it's about $6,000 a year. Cause there's about 18 on the fire and there's 10, so.
Well, the police, it's a requirement if they're gonna be accessing the computers, and was a requirement for our IT resource. I mean, I think
Well,
that's a given, but.
I understand that, but how many, and I brought up what would it cost to have phones? I mean, not all of them need phones. I mean, how many officers you got on duty at a time, Chris? 3, 4?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
I mean, if we just
For
got 3,
logon security, every single one has to have an individual number. Just like if you were to try to get into some of your bank records or whatever, when they send you a code to your number to authenticate your ID of who you are, not just that you're a police officer.
so everybody would have to have a
It's your
phone, because
individual
it's the two-part authentication is what it is, because it sends you a code to your number based upon your ID badge number to be able to get in. So they have to-
What they're referring to is the new RMS. Everything is two-factor authentication.
Mhm.
It is a pain, but there's no way to, you can buy a cell phone for every employee, every officer. That's gonna be cost prohibitive.
well, I just thought if we bought 3 or 4, and they could interchange them phones out for when they go on duty.
There's no way for doing communications to change that number every time
Yeah.
for the officer. Because they assign phone number to that officer. And it takes an act of Congress to get anything changed, so.
So this is just adding the police to it. So everybody else that's on call is already being paid?
Yep,
They are.
not the fire department. Other than Denny.
I just have a problem with this in general. I don't have a problem with adding the police to it if everybody else is already on there. In general, I just don't like it.
I'm with you. I mean, if we're gonna add them, then should add the fire department too. I mean, if they're using their personal phones to get the text for addresses and stuff.
Because basically, at some time or other, everybody on the city, on the other 3 crews, they're all on call at some time or other, aren't they? Electric department, water department, street
They're on
department,
this.
Sure.
so they're already being reimbursed.
I don't disagree with what he says, that if you gotta have consistency throughout the city employees. If you don't, then they can say that you're not being fair. So in essence, I believe that the fire department we would have to grant them the opportunity to do the same thing.
Or take it
Okay.
away from everybody.
Or take it away from everybody, right? So the bottom line is, they have to have it. I mean, it would be mandated, but the bottom line is, I agree with that statement, but Denny said last week, now they could change their mind, I guess, in a week and ask to be on the reimbursement program as well. But she specifically asked him about it, and he did say that we do use our phones for, find the house number, because what they get for the other was not, if I'm correct, I think that's what he said. So, yeah, he did bring that up, so I mean, I agree that it would encompass them, I think, as well as paid employees of the city.
But I do wonder, you have 22 volunteer firefighters that are on the roster. Not all of them respond to calls regularly. So are we going to limit it and say you have to respond to a certain number of calls in order to get this reimbursement? Because if somebody doesn't respond, maybe they only respond to one call every 3 months, is that worth it to us as a city to reimburse them
No,
if they're not responding to calls for us? Because it is a volunteer
I think you'd have to set
firefighter.
an activity level that they had to be engaged, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because you have reserves, you have, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just in that, you know,
It's kinda like he said, he had a certain amount, he was getting uniform, because they were the active people there,
you
so.
know.
14.
And then as that changes, if it grows, then we would add those people as they meet the threshold of expectation to qualify, right? So I absolutely think you have to. I would think it would be completely the wrong thing to do to not offer that if that was the case. But that's my 2 cents worth on it.
I think there needs to be more discussion about what the criteria is going to be for them to qualify for that.
I would agree with that as well. We've got to think through it.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I don't think it's fair to not include the police if they're required to have one and we're paying everybody else for it.
Yeah.
I
Now, the difference-
just question the why we're paying for it at all. I mean, nobody ever pays me for my cell phone. Landon, did you get paid when you worked for Stewart?
No.
Well, the state's mandating they have to have that.
Well, but they probably all got phones anyway.
I mean, yeah, we can make them drive their own car, too.
Hard time having a month, probably.
That'd be funny, watching them drive around in minivans,
Well, you
that love them
You gotta
drive.
get a red light and you have to turn on your car.
It happened at the county level, back in the 80s. There was a 240Z and there was pickup trucks and there was all kinds of stuff out there.
Well, as a city, we say we're reimbursing employees that are required to have it. The police department is required to have it.
Well, I mean, so are the people that are on call. And so, I mean, my objection isn't the police department. My objection is that these people have phones anyway.
Anybody that has.
This amounts to a raise.
Yeah, I think it boils down, anybody has a responsibility to respond after hours or in the line of their job description would fall under the $20 reimbursement plan. That would be the folks in the fire department.
There are corporations out there that are going away from company phones, believe me, I am well aware of that. But if we're gonna do this for some people, we need to at least, while we may have to have some additional discussion of what our long-term plan is on this, we need to at least be consistent with the police department short-term.
I don't disagree with that.
So,
I just disagree with the whole policy with it.
I think what we should
You
do
don't
is
like
pass
in
this
general,
out of
right?
the
I mean,
police
it's a-
department.
Period.
But
Anybody.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what
look
I'm
at
trying to
our
do.
Yeah, and then have more discussion about it.
I think we should pass this for the police department, but as we look at budgets for the next year, the following year, evaluate, what are we gonna do? What do we do as a city? I mean, as technology is evolving these days, yes, pretty much everybody has cell phones. Actually, I do know a few people who don't, surprisingly, but most people do. Most people are gonna have those cell phones regardless, so I mean, we have to decide what our long-term policy is, but right now, we have a policy in place. Instead of killing it on the spot, we should put the police department in while we're being consistent with something that is required. The fire department, it's not required, they've got pagers. And he said that too when he was here last week. They get pagers to be notified.
think that we ought to be discussing the whole issue. I'm not saying that the police department shouldn't be compensated, as well as the other people. If we're compensating the others, it's not fair to tell the police department no. But I do think we ought to have the discussion of whether we should be doing it at all.
I think that's should be part of our next budget process.
This isn't different than other cities are doing.
I understand. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right.
Like I said, a lot of corporations are going away from it. I shouldn't say a lot. I've seen corporations starting to go away from it. But short term, in this current financial year that we're in, we should at least include the police department, and then as we look at next year's budget, or maybe the following year's budget, as we are also looking at how we're trying to right-size our salaries and stuff, maybe this comes out as we right-size salaries, and then that may be something we can look at. I mean, I would support that as we right-size salaries, we pull this out as call this a perk. But right now, I think we should pass this, incorporate the police department, and table the rest of the conversation until we get to our budget conversations. That's my suggestion, at least.
Sounds good to me, let's roll off.
You like that?
Sure.
Hey, would you like to take all of them on, please?
Right, so.
They come on here tonight.
Just read them.
It's a beautiful voice compared
Michael, you.
All right, bill number 2329. Okay, move the bill number 2329 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
The first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes. I mean, all opposed. Sorry. Okay, it passes.
A resolution of the City of Centralia, Missouri, amending the adopted formal written policy for reimbursement of expenses related to maintaining a personal mobile phone for certain employees of the City of Centralia, Missouri. Move that bill number 2329 be given its second reading by title only.
No, just one reading.
Oh, roll call, oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm just on a roll.
Yeah, well, you are, you're doing great.
Roll call vote, second.
Okay.
First and second for roll call vote, Tara,
Alderman Magley,
Yeah.
Alderman Rogers,
Four.
Alderman Borman,
Yes.
Alderman Hudson,
Yes.
Alderman Motley.
Yes.
passes, resolution number,
R-19-18.
now we're down to 9. Setting the compensation for certain city employees, you want, is that? I'm not familiar.
Minimum wage changes, added effective January 1, so added to this ordinance is also salary for our customer service representative. She's part-time in our office. She would be under minimum wage, if we don't adopt this, and since she's not really on a pay scale, she's lower than our pay scale, so that would be included in
Probably
this.
I would include the other one in there.
I'd like to include the other one too, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, got you, but I knew there was, an
And I
error.
added, but
There
I
was something
added
added,
that.
that's why I said that.
Right, right.
I'm not completely ignorant tonight, I'm just, so anyway, could I get Mr. Borman to take that, please?
Yes, bill number, please.
2330.
I move that, bill number 2330 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rogers. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
A bill to create an ordinance entitled an ordinance to fix the compensation of certain employees of the City of Centralia, Missouri. I move that bill number 2330 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
Got first and second for second reading, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
A bill to create an ordinance entitled an ordinance to fix the compensation of certain certain employees for the City of Centralia, Missouri. I move that bill number 2330 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
Second by Maglin. Roll call votes, please.
Alderman Motley,
Yes.
Alderman Hudson,
Yes.
Alderman Borman,
Yes.
Alderman Rogers,
Four.
Alderman Magley.
Yeah.
It passes, ordinance number, we're down to purchasing, D. Is this just for discussion, or are these motions, or?
These are motions.
Okay,
Each
yeah.
of these is a
Okay, okay.
motion.
So first we have a motion authorizing the mayor to sign amended task order number CEN 19-TO-WW014 wastewater funding assistance, not to exceed $10,000, increasing the original not to exceed the amount of $25,000.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Passes. 2, a motion authorizing the mayor to sign task order with Bartlett and West Incorporated for wastewater system upgrades, survey, design, permit, and bid assistance not to exceed $468,575.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
That was an expensive one. There was a pause there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll look at it.
Is there a task order number that goes with this, or supposed to go with this?
It's not filled in. Do I need to assign
I think so. Yeah, whatever the next one is, I wasn't sure what that would be, so.
that? We'll figure it out.
So that moves us down to old business. Any old business? Everybody saw it, I'll take it if there's not. New business. I have no appointments, and none from the AC administrator. Monthly report to the board, all right?
Rebecca, do you have any questions on that? I guess old business might be, we discussed the Safe Routes to School grant, and Nico was here tonight too.
Okay.
And then, just the roads, so we have not had a meeting of our committee, we have not, whether we've actually ever set an ad hoc committee for that really,
For what's that, out there,
for, yeah, for the
center
streets.
sidewalks?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
I think we just need to move forward, get going, if that's something that we wanna do,
Well, it is, isn't
the
it?
grant,
Yeah.
let's talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, we're just gonna go ahead and assemble the
We're just
committee,
gonna-
right?
I don't, if we wanna assemble a committee, I think that's gonna take extra time,
Or just let's talk through it? Okay, so we'll put it on the agenda for the 20th, or we're gonna do it tonight? What do you wanna do?
but I'll let you know.
Okay.
Figure it out, I'll let you know.
All right, I'm in. So, city attorney, she's out, don't forget she'll be out for a while, she had surgery, I believe, this week, last week, didn't she?
Last Thursday.
Oh, last Thursday, okay.
Has anybody heard from her at all?
No, she said she would not be available to
Not
text
from
or
work
anything.
perspective, no, I was just curious.
Yeah, I have not heard from her.
She said for 5 days she'd be on the good stuff.
Yeah, she couldn't even look at her phone.
Let me look at the phone, so I didn't kind of want to bother, but, so anyway, city clerk, anything? Okay. Do we have anything for the closed session
No,
tonight?
we don't have a closed session.
Yeah, no, that's it, moves us to as may arise, anything as that may arise? Then I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, somebody's gotta make the
I'll
first.
make the motion to adjourn.
All in favor? All opposed? We're